Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome one, welcome all to SimSpeed TV for round 8 of the AOG Porsche Cup. The 7th season has been full of excitement, and we're going to continue that excitement here at Daytona International Speedway. We have got night racing coming up for you here with a little bit of an interesting format as well. To bring it to you all live across YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch is myself, Reese Gardner, with Jay Kennedy alongside me in the commentary box. Well, Jay, last round at Barber certainly pulled the rug out from under a few drivers, but now they get to reset and try to make some moves in the slipstream here at Daytona.
Absolute polar opposite, isn't it, from what we saw last round at Barber? But tonight here at Daytona, it should be very, very interesting, very, very entertaining. The slipstream will make it very, very exciting as well. Looking forward to seeing how it plays out. We've still got a little bit to decide in regards to championships as well.
Yeah, that we have. We should probably take a look at those championship standings right after, or before we check out the track map then. Bo Albert is the series champion, confirmed as of last round. He took a break last round at Barber, but he is back for this round and will obviously be fighting for wins towards the end of the season. But it really is a race for second, isn't it? Thomas Hens currently in P2. Simon Mazzomo and everyone behind him, quite a bit of drift in terms of the points, but it should be close there for third.
Yeah, that is pretty tight in the end there for that third, fourth, fifth odd position. So Mazzomo does have decent pace tonight, so he will be one to watch, but anything can and probably will happen in this championship. We won't see Seb Flock or Matthew Bowler out on track tonight, but the rest of the field will be fighting for those championship points. But the one to really watch is going to be Pro-Am, which we'll have a look at now. It is very, very tight at the top, and everywhere is still up for grabs. Champion still to be decided in this class.
Yeah, Corey Lazarus not that far ahead of Sean Linsell. That's only 121 points, I believe, that is, or 119 that is keeping them apart. Lazarus, of course, taking that Pro-Am Championship lead last round at Barber with its massive incidents for many of the drivers in the Pro-Am category. And Sean Linsell not too far ahead of Tyson Broad either, so it will be interesting to see who can get the results here at Daytona tonight and possibly jiggle those standings around a little bit. Meanwhile, in the AM class, well, Steve Tonkin remains on top, but again, not by far from David Clark. Again, it's a gap of 119 points. So pretty much the same situation as Pro-Am in terms of the championship. But again, things are looking very close, especially 5th to 7th. Lofthouse, Betts and Harding only separated by about 30 points.
And lastly, we haven't looked at this all season long, but the teams championship, that's still up for grabs as well. So all the 3 of our 4 championships still up for grabs in this series, which is really cool to see. I'm looking forward to seeing how it does play out in the end. It's going to be a very, very exciting end of the season.
Indeed it will. brilliant final round here at Daytona, and it's going to be fantastic to see who will come across the line in first, who will end up getting the Teams Championship and the Pro-Am and Am Drivers titles. This is Daytona International Speedway. We are running the 24-hour road course for this one. It is an iconic circuit. It's one that many iRacers will be familiar with the Daytona 24 happening every year. So many laps done around this place by so many drivers. You can almost drive around it with your eyes closed, but it's not recommended.
No, I wouldn't do it, but you're right. We do that much racing here that you could race with your eyes closed. And we see so many road series racing on this layout as well. So if you are new to iRacing and think, why would I want to race at Daytona? It's a worthwhile investment because there is so much that happens at the Daytona International Speedway, even on the roadside. So it is worth the investment. Qualifying's underway, Reese, and this is going to be a very, very interesting session with how much draft is going to play a factor.
Indeed. It's looking to me as though the Group 1 qualifying has been completed. Riley Bilson running the quickest time so far with the Am class and half of Pro-Am out on track in the initial part of the session. This is Group 2, the second half of Pro-Am plus the Pro class. And that's the time that they have to beat. 1 minute 45.38 from Riley Bilson, with Andrew Smith about a second behind Bilson at the moment. There'll be plenty of drivers who will be able to slot into that 1 second gap, but we are expecting that the top drivers will potentially be able to set 1 minute 44 second lap times, especially considering everyone made sure to line up at the end of pit lane and make sure that they all come out in a group, because the slipstream is so important here for lap time.
Definitely is. It plays a huge impact on your lap and find you maybe that second that Andrew Smith needed to get Group 1 pole. Obviously didn't get it in the end, but that may have been all he needed to get that pole, because you do close up so much time, especially as you exit the now Le Mans chicane. It's going to be so hard over time to not say the bus stop chicane there. It's already difficult to think of it as not that corner. It's going to be very, very interesting as we approach the end of this qualifying session, how the session does play out too.
Well, first times will be active on the board, and looks like Daniel Benefield already getting into third, Bo Albert into fourth, Mazomo, who you mentioned was looking quick tonight, up into second place, and he's not that far off getting a leg up on Riley Bilson if he can get the draft.
Dylan Shepherd just going straight ahead. The exit of turn 1. Obviously that means that his lap now will be invalidated. His previous lap was invalidated as well, so he won't get a time in on this run. He's going to have to work hard at the end of this session. Here's Bo Albert though, currently third in the session. We'll see what he can do on this lap.
Indeed. Champion already, so he doesn't have to worry about getting results in the traditional sense, but he's a very competitive person as Bo Albert, so he'll be looking for every opportunity he can to set a good time, but he doesn't have any slipstream in front of him, so it's going to be challenging for him to overcome that time set by Riley Bilson. Managed to nail all the curbs at the Le Mans chicane, which is nice, and of course he is on the Zoom feed, as are a couple of other drivers here tonight. He is running a very high line, of course, out of NASCAR 3 and 4, getting a little bit of extra momentum, ramping off the banking to get some extra speed onto the start-finish straight. So what's this time going to be like for him? It looks like a 1 minute 46 on the cards, 146.2 there. Slower than he set before, but now this is a reset for Bo, and he manages to almost nail the line through turn 1. And it's very difficult, of course, to get the right line through there. There is no correct line. Mazomo getting a good jump in the slipstream. Is this going to be a 46? It is indeed. Again, it is just a little bit slower than the time that he initially set. And it looks like Mazomo will be abandoning that run and going back to the pits. Thomas Hinz, meanwhile, second place in the pro standings coming into this round. He has yet to set a time in the session as of right now. So it's picked an interesting time to come out. I think most drivers will be ending their initial outlap and hot lap runs. So will he be able to get the draft that he needs?
Good. Ellis is about to cross the line, but that lap doesn't look representative of his pace, so it will not count and improve his time. Currently sits in P16 in this session. Go to Gordon Ramsay.
Yeah, Gordon currently 10th spot in the Pro-Am standings and currently 9th overall in the session, which is pretty good, I have to say. We'll have to wait and see if he can improve on a 1 minute 46.9. He is really playing fast and loose with track limits there, almost getting an off track, and it looks like he might be committing to a run to the pits.
May have got that slowdown you were just talking about. It's very, very easy to get one. Corey Lazarus will see what he can do on his lap here. Currently 10th in class. That's 15th overall. He's behind 2 drivers in the AM category, our Pro-Am Championship leader. He's going to be working very, very hard to get himself forward. Remembering top 10 is where you want to be in tonight's first race. Sit in top 10, you're going to find yourself having a very, very good night.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll go through the format proper when we get into the race session, but all you really need to know is in race 2, it is a top 10 invert. So if you finish 10th in race 1, you're going to be starting on pole for race 2. It will be a very interesting race for that final position in the top 10. Aiden Coote, we are focusing on at the moment, currently 6th overall. He's catching up a nice slipstream. 6th, in Pro-Am, and that's a 145.7 for him. The draft worked out beautifully for him, and that is 3rd place on the board. Wow. He was behind Daniel Benefield for that one, and Benefield ran faster as well, up to 2nd.
Very, very nice job. And also notice there that also jumping up is Dylan Shepherd. He's gone into 4th outright, 2nd in class. So he's jumped up a few spots as well on that previous lap with a bit of draft help. We've got 3 drivers now into the 45s. Will we see a 44 by the end of this session? I think we might.
Yeah, the pace is gradually increasing, but we also have to think about the track gradually cooling as well. This is what we've got up after qualifying 9 laps or 25 minutes for race 1. Of course, that will depend on potential safety car interventions. And race 2, maximum length of 50 minutes with 18 laps scheduled and a required pit stop for at least 2 tyres in that race as well. Really awesome to see this variance of formats as we can welcome Ross Rizzo to the commentary box. Well, Ross, final round of the championship. This is going to be a fun one. Bilson currently on top, and that's another example of what we talked about last round at Barber. The Pro-Am class actually has quite a bit of talent in it. Okay, we don't seem to have Ross Rizzo at the moment. We will welcome him to the comms box very shortly. But Jay, I have to say, that time by Bilson looking really good as the session goes on. We still have 7.5 minutes to decide it. At the moment, it looks like Benefield is in the hot seat to beat it. Currently out on track at the moment and going past Bo Albert on the apron, who's gearing up for another run here. Can he get into the 144s? He will need a slipstream to get that, I think.
Benefield probably sitting in the best spot, I would think, at the moment. He's not too far off. A bit of draft help just ahead from, I think, is that Sean Linsell just ahead? It is. Evolution Racing Team is fighting for the championship in the Pro-Am as well. So finds himself in a very, very nice spot. Draft-wise, he might be able to close that gap down and maybe steal that P number 1 overall. But in saying that, for the first time in the series, we're going to have a rolling start. So I don't know if it's the end of the world if he does start from P2.
Yeah, not the end of the world indeed. It is a bit of a different format for this round in terms of the start. Usually it is a standing start in the AOG Porsche Cup, but standing starts on the banking at Daytona are not advisable. So no doubt...
They're awkward.
Yeah, the car will immediately slide off the line. So Benefield first in pro, and we'll be picking up a little whisper of slipstream from Lincel. I honestly don't know if he's actually going to be getting the full effect of the slipstream from this far back. You need about 1.5 seconds to the car in front of you to start getting the benefit of the slipstream. But that's a nice clean run through the Le Mans chicane. He nails the curbs. That's a really good run. But Lincel now has a chain of cars ahead of him, and we'll be getting even more of a benefit. So might pull away from Benefield a little bit. Looking at those sector times, still not clear on whether Benefield is going to go quicker here. 1:45.38 is the time to beat, remember, and across the line he will come. It's not going to be an improvement, but Lincel does improve. He goes all the way up to 5th. That's fantastic, especially considering that Pro-Am Championship leader Corey Lazarus is currently sitting in 13th.
Yeah, Lazarus is a long way down, isn't he? He's not making the inroads. If Lincel was on a good start to his lap, he's just been balked by everyone as they've come out of the pits for one final attempt. So, hopefully for his sake he wasn't on the lap, but if he was, that could be dangerous for Lazarus because he was involved in that group there. Tyson Broad goes up to 4th.
Yeah, really awesome job from Tyson Broad, as I believe we do now have Ross Rizzo with us in the comms box. Yeah, this is going to be a very interesting end to the qualifying session, Ross.
Yeah, thanks for letting me in, boys, and sorry for the being so late and having those dramas. But yes, it's probably a good time to join this qualifying session. We're seeing some late improvements, and my goodness, aren't the Pro-Ams showing us what we're capable of? Nick Tamores coming to the line from 14th. I think he's about to start a lap, perhaps. So 4 minutes to go. He should be able to squeeze at least 2 of those laps in. But unfortunately, as we've been pointing out, there's no draft around him. And now Thomas Hinz, who's possibly the favourite for P2 in the Pro Championship as well. P number 5 in the Pros. Top 10 overall at the moment. Doesn't need to find a lot of time to jump into the top 5 here. If he can find a 46 flat, he'll put himself P5. Is that good enough? It is a 46.097, there or thereabouts. It is P number 7 for Thomas Hinz.
Well, I don't know if he'll be able to get out for one more lap at this point. He should be able to, but will he be able to improve on tyres that might need a couple of laps to get into the temperature window? Corey Lazarus then getting some slipstream on the way out, and Josh Van Treek here in 13th place now. Van Treek, well, 13th place in Pro-Am, sorry. I keep defaulting to overall positions, but the lower third down on the bottom shows positions in class. Van Treek, 47.2, quickest lap so far. He's got a bit of work to do if he wants to overcome and get into the 1:46s, but the run to the line is here. Will it be what he needs? 1:46.6 there for Van Treek, and that should be good enough, or is it? Actually, no improvement there. The lap didn't count, Ross. Once again, the off-tracks here at Daytona are absolutely brutal.
Yeah, especially that final chicane when you're absolutely trying to maximize your last gasp to the line. Nick Tamores again to the line. Still can't get into the 46s here. But yeah, we're looking like the cars that are out on track that don't have the draft. It looks like a 46.0, high 45 is all you've really got in it, unless you've really got it wrapped up. So it's going to be difficult to try and get more positions here. Here comes Gordon Ramsay with a 47.3. That is not an improvement on his previous time, and that he's going to park it there. Not sure how crowded the track is at the moment, so those drafting opportunities are probably going to be too few and far between to see any wholesale changes. And here comes Simon Mazzomo with the 0-1. The last time he'll be... not the last time you'll have the 0-1. Well, potentially, because we will have a new Pro-Am champion by the end of tonight. He does improve. There's a 45.9, so there is still a little bit of pace in it.
Yeah, indeed, and he ended up going up to 5th overall with that lap, so not too bad of a run there from Mazzomo. Coot, meanwhile, he has an excellent slipstream coming to the line here. And he's actually decided to go for the pits as Lazarus sets a 46.4 and improves to 12th. That's only a gain of 1 position. It's not what the Pro-Am Championship leader needs, with Sean Lincel now coming to the line as well as Josh Van Treek. So last minute of the session, and I believe Thomas Hins has actually abandoned his final qualifying run. So these are some of the last times that we're going to see in the session. Van Treek 46.5. That's the improvement he needed. He goes from 20th to 14th overall, up into the top 10 in the Pro-Am class. Bo Albert, the champion elect, currently on his final hot lap of the session. And he's 5th in Pro, but only 9th overall. So this is not the kind of pace that we would expect from Bo so far. Let's see if he can pull it out on this final run.
Yeah, the pressure is off Bo, so we'll be able to see what he can do, but I wonder how much preparation has gone into tonight. Look at the attitude of the car as it bounces through the bus stop. He doesn't seem too happy with it either, so maybe an off track, or maybe he's just seeing that Delta climb and climb and climb, but he's not even going to make it. But yeah, a little bit of despondent Bo, but if you're going to have a bit of a off night, I think tonight, last day of school as we like to call it, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. It's when you can kick back and relax a little bit, at least if you're the champion who's absolutely dominated the season. Well, Heat 1, or Race 1 rather, 9 laps. It's going to be headed up by Riley Bilson and Daniel Benefield, a Pro-Am class car on the overall pole position. That is quite significant. Aiden Coote and Tyson Broad will start in 3rd and 4th on the 2nd row. Broad is looking to make a bit of an impression in the Pro-Am class as well, with Simon Mazzomo starting alongside Dylan Shepherd. Great qualifying performances from the both of them. Sean Linsell is going to start in 7th place and is trying to get that Pro-Am class title. He's well ahead of the Pro-Am points leader, starting alongside Thomas Hins, though, who's looking to try and protect 2nd in the Pro class. And then Bo Albert will start alongside Sam Sproul to round out the top 10.
In P number 11 is Andrew Smith. Excellent showing from him. Probably his best showing so far this season. Now, our Pro-Am Championship leader, Corey Lazarus, a decent damage limitation result there, but he's got Sean Linsell ahead of him. Then we got Ben Johnson and Joshua Van Treek, who wrapped up the feature race race number 3 last time out at Barber with a spectacular display at Alabama. Then we have Ryan Jones, a good showing from him. Steve Tonkin, our AM championship leader, potentially elect. His season has been gone from strength to strength. Josh Lane right behind him, and then Gordon Ramsay, P number 18, after that late improvement in the session. Then rounding out your top 20 is Alan Dawson and Stuart Ellis.
Last few rows here, it's going to be Nick Tamores starting alongside Kyle Zink, 21st and 22nd. Stefan Lawrence is going to start alongside Patrick Harding, the last 2 cars to set qualifying times. And Wade Sheedy will be on his lonesome on the final row of the grid here in car 03. Of course, Dan Yeaman and Matthew Kefford in race control and standing by in the McLaren 570S GT4 safety cars if there is a need for them over the course of the session. One more time, let's check out the format. 9 laps for this one, but drivers will be racing for race 2 pole if they're in the top 10. Reverse top 10 for race 2 and a compulsory pit stop. And unlike in the V8s, I suppose in these Porsches, going for 2 tyres is advisable. But which would you take? I would presume rears.
Yeah, rears do make sense. So the working side is usually the meta when you're in a more of a twisty configuration of racetrack, but not really too many corners to deal with here. Might be an interesting option if, say, that front left or front right, for example, chews up pretty quickly, but I dare say we'll see rears tonight, Reese.
Yeah, thinking the same. Final bit of weaving on the banking before the drivers form up and take the rolling start for this one. As we mentioned earlier, it's usually a standing start in this series, but it's very difficult to get the cars away cleanly when you're starting in the tri-oval here at Daytona International Speedway. Well, it looks like everyone's formed up nicely as the iRacing AI-controlled safety car is about to pull into the pits. They've given a nice bit of space to the safety car, and they'll be entering the start zone very shortly. Green flag held high in the air by Barney, and it's going to be Bilson versus Benefield into turn 1. How much of a trip up will we see from drivers into this first turn. Cold tyres, cold brakes, no ABS, no traction control. Benefield was ahead of Bilson coming up to the line. I don't know if that's going to result in a penalty assigned, but Benefield is pushing into turn one. Bilson, though, taking the lead coming into the first corner. It looks like Aiden Coote moving into second. Not seeing any black flags on the board here, so I think Benefield might have gotten away with being slightly ahead of Bilson coming up to the green flag. Mazomo on the outside of Tyson Broad through the first hairpin, but has to give room. Meanwhile, car number 9, Joshua Van Schreek, only car off on lap 1 so far.
A disappointing start for Josh, but excellent showing from everyone else. So odd that Benefield did get the jump. Oh, look at this. Here goes, around goes Tyson Broad. We spoke it too earlier. Commentators cursed 2 cars off there. That is Simon Mazomo involved in that as well. So they'll drop right to the back here.
Oh, dear.
Oh, and then another car, the racecraft car as well, with a bit of a check up here. Oh, it's gotten a little bit messy right at the wrong time here, Reed.
Yeah, it definitely has. Unfortunately, it looks like Broad was I know Mazomo was a little bit too deep on the brakes coming into the horseshoe and tapped Tyson Broad around. The carnage is continuing around this lap. It looks like Mazomo's had another tap and gone around once more, although it seems on that occasion he lost it by himself in front of Patrick Harding. But Bo Albert up to 4th place now in the midst of that bit of chaos on the first lap. Bilson still leading by half a second.
Almost a bit like the first round for Bo Albert. Didn't qualify so well there and then ended up towards the front after all the carnage. But here he is, P number 5. They were chasing down Riley Bilson. Look at the interesting line that Hinz is taking here, using it to the middle of the track, trying to minimize the draft. But I think the inevitable is going to happen here. Bo to the inside with the draft, and it's even on for the lead if Benefield feels interested in a dive here, and he does. He pulls to the inside of Riley Bilson and into the lead he goes. If you can pull it up into turn 1, it's a little bit wide. Bilson unable to quite get the counter attack, but Benefield to the front race.
Yeah, new signing for Drop Bear Motorsports is Daniel Benefield, an Australian sim racing veteran. He's been in and around the community for many years, but had a hiatus for a couple of years. He is back now, and it shows that he has lost none of his pace there. But Bilson is sticking with him. Really awesome performance from the 995 at the moment. Dylan Shepherd, meanwhile, oh, that's a bit of a lock up there. Oh, commentators cursed someone there. It's Benefield. After getting into the lead, he has locked up into the horseshoe and just gone straight on. He's mired back in the pack in 19th now.
Just such a shame for Benefield. This gives Bilson a bit of an open goal, and that's Dylan Shepherd up into P2, Bo Albert in P3. Now, we do need to talk up Bilson's stock here. He hasn't raced the full season and is in the Pro-Am category, but if you look at some of his other driving, he's very aggressive, very, very fast, and I think he's been looking for an opportunity like this to show what he's capable of, and he's certainly got the guys stacking up behind him. He looks a little bit wide as he heads into the bus stop. This gives Dylan Shepherd an excellent incentive to try and get the run on him, and in fact, it looks like he might be more under attack from Bo here, Reese.
Yeah, this is looking interesting. Well, yeah, Albert got by Hinz without much fuss. And now onto the start-finish straight we come, sticking to the very inside to shorten the run to the line. It's only a difference of maybe a metre or 2 in terms of distance covered. But, man, it is worth a lot. And look at the slipstream that Shepherd and Albert got. Bo has to go to the outside coming into turn 1, but he can straighten the car up a little bit sooner and get a good exit. Meanwhile, Bilson, I think, had a little wiggle out of the first corner, and Shepherd is on the attack. So is Albert, but Bo can't find a way through. There goes Shepherd up the inside of Bilson, and hopefully for him, into the lead. But Bilson's still just alongside coming out of the corner. Straighten the car up a little better. He is keeping the run side by side through the kink. This is dangerous stuff, but they sort it out. No, they don't. Oh, just about. Bo Albert nearly got into the back of Shepherd there. Just managed to pull it up in time. So our pole sitter back to 3rd.
My goodness, how that wasn't a monumental. Only Bo can probably explain there. Excellent job, excellent racecraft. And we've seen Dylan wasting no time, showing how good he was at last round. So we're having a look at the race start. Alan Dawson, our focus here, as we go green. Oh, look at them fan out 4 wide, almost immediately. Down to the apron they go. And does he thread the needle through the middle here? How does this turn 1 play out? Oh, and then you can see the compression. Oh my goodness!
Ooh,
and just some indecision, a little bit of disparity in pace, and he's around before they even get to turn 1.
Yeah, looks like Matthew Bowler did take to the grid after all. He is in it now, but he is still down the field in 18th spot. There's what happened to Tyson Gordon, Simon Mizomo. Again, Mizomo just locking up, getting into the back of the number 27. And back to live pictures. We've got to cancel the replays because Bo Albert's making a run for the lead on Dylan Shepard, but they make contact on the run up to the line. Shepard once again making contact with Albert. Bo holds on to it only just. Shepard is fighting for this lead tooth and nail, and I don't know if Bo Albert's going to appreciate that.
Oh, the statement of intent
no.
there. Look at Bilson to the inside. Look at the slide from Bo. Oh, no, and Bilson's around it in the wall. No way. No way. Our pole sitter, who's doing so well. And there's Josh Lane also recovering from a spin. Oh, my goodness. That's a shame. A major contender out of the running here, Reese.
Oh, yeah, and it's continued for him. He ended up getting side-swiped coming out of turn 1 by Stuart Ellis. That's a real shame for Riley Bilson. The fight will continue here for the lead of the race. Shepard only leading by a couple of tenths from Bo Albert. And look who's coming back here in third, Thomas Hins. He has got a lot to play for, though, because Sean Linsell is starting to, oh dear, Andrew Smith around at the corner. And he's lost a couple of positions, but fortunately, no other cars involved in that incident. And the chaos is just continuing here. And that's been the story of the season, really. It's all been about who can survive and who can make the least mistakes. To the lead again for Bo Albert, potentially? No. He is going to just lift off the throttle and try and go for the move here into turn 1. Shepard running a little bit deep into the chicane. Albert does also get a little squirrely, but he has a better run.
And this is probably where we're going to see the racing IQ of Bo here. He looks like he's got pretty good pace versus Shepard. He's going to move to the outside, but do they want to cooperate here and try and break away from Hinsey and make it a two-horse race again? They get into each other, so I think he's trying to go for the side draft there, and Dylan's just having none of it. But he's going to go for the move anyway. Does Dylan do what Dylan does best and break deep? Not quite. Yeah, oh no, he does hold it back in there. Does beautiful side-by-side driving, and again, almost a replay of last lap. Big sideways action from Bo, and now that has invited Thomas Hins and Sean Linsell into the party for the battle for the lead.
Yeah, Albert's just not able to get alongside Shepard in time for the braking zones, and this is turning into a proper 4-car fight for the lead now, isn't it? Will Bo be able to make the move here on the infield? Flat out, just about through the kink here, but Shepard stays middle of the road, takes the tight line on the way into the corner, and that's another one of the turns on this track where multiple lines are possible. I'm also seeing that Andrew Smith has lost another 2 positions. He's behind Sheedy and Lazarus now, and in 10th, which is pole for race 2, don't forget. So, still plenty to be racing for. We've got a split screen replay here. Stefan Lawrence coming into turn 1 on the bottom of your screen. And oh dear, just lost the rear end coming into turn 1. Aiden Coote. Oh dear.
Yeah, not the smartest time to rejoin there. Aiden, the unfortunate victim in that one. And here we go, Bo looking at a very opportune moment here into the bus stop.
Oh no!
No! And Dylan has... I don't know how to call that one. That's going to be on the stewards there. And Dylan's still spinning, somehow not collecting anyone else. But that pretty much sorts out that 2-horse race. It's a 3-horse race now, but not with the competitors we thought so.
Yeah, and I think that's the side-by-side shenanigans of Dylan Shepard coming back to bite him. You see, he tried to turn in a little early for the bus stop and wasn't quite all the way to the right when Albert was alongside him. I don't know, though, how the stewards are going to decide that. Albert was the one who turned him, so it might be the champion-elect that the stewards investigate.
I unfortunately have my chat muted, but I can see Dylan is certainly on the radio, and I assume it's going to be very, very complimentary. Look at this. Oh, he's going straight back across the track somehow, just with everyone else. Here's the rejoin, and Benefield just grabbed him. So, and they both end up with meatball flags. Dylan, yeah, I can see why he's very upset now as a result of that crash.
Well, yeah, I think Benefield has a right to be upset too, because that might count as a dangerous rejoin.
Yeah, there's definitely a case for that, and Dylan seeing the red mist, we know he's very aggressive, and it was going to be difficult to wrestle this race win away from Dylan because he is so good under brakes. Now here we have the onboard from Benefield. He sees the OPR car, but nothing he can do.
Dangerous rejoin, absolutely. I mean, there's only one line you can take on the exit of the Le Mans chicane, and the car's already loaded up at that point. There wasn't anything Benefield could do to avoid that, and I think Shepard might have been a little bit wiser just to flick it into reverse and make sure that he re-entered the track a little more safely. Well, either way, there's quite a few drivers who are under investigation from the stewards, and we have our first few penalties that have come in from race control. First off, black flag drive-through penalty for Nicholas Timores. That's for contact with the 062. Which is Alan Dawson. That was the contact we saw on the replay on lap 1. Mazomo, of course, getting a drive-through penalty for the contact with Broad coming into the horseshoe. And Matthew Bowler, black flagged for contact with car 958 of Kyle Zink. Also, we have unsafe rejoin for Stefan Lawrence, and that's what took out the 066 of Aidan Coote, as we saw. Meanwhile, here's Steve Tonkin. He is looking for more positions here, but currently 5th outright. That is by far the best performance we've seen from Tonkin all season, and it's already been a fantastic season for the AM Championship leader.
Yeah, I was just about to sing his praises. As I've probably done all season. He's probably sick of it by now. But my goodness, he's putting on an amazing display yet again. P5 outright. Said he's after more positions. Probably not. He's probably content with the good, I think, 12 cars to Josh Lane down in 17th place outright. Fantastic drive so far from Tonkin, and all he needs to do is try and keep up with Ben Johnson, keep in the draft, and he'll have a nice and tidy P5 wrapped up. And who knows, that could get better, but because out the front, Thomas Hinds is still sort of gnawing away at Bo Albert here, not probably making the inroads he needs to really challenge for a win, but he will be there on the last lap if he can keep the pace up, and that'll give him 1 or 2 opportunities to put Bo under pressure and see what he can make of it. Here, Reed.
Yes, Albert might be dealing with a slight bit of damage from his contact with Dylan Shepard earlier. We have to wait and see. I've been keeping an eye on Bo's car, and especially in the slow corners, the body language of the car has been looking a little bit fiery. On board here with Bo Albert, this is what I saw as he comes into the corner coming onto the oval. Had to make a correction right in the middle of the corner. He is struggling a little with that rear end, and now Thomas Hinds might be lining him up for a move into the first corner, but here's the battle for 9th. Ryan Jones up ahead of Tyson Broad and Gordon Ramsay, who has just gotten a penalty himself for contact with Josh Lane. So Ramsay's not going to be an element in this battle ultimately, but still looking quite entertaining as we come on to the penultimate lap of the race.
Do I have this right? That Broad has already recovered back into the top 10 after that first lap?
Yeah, I'm amazed that he was able to do that, honestly. I think that really speaks to, just how important it is to keep it on the track. Even if you have an incident of your own, there'll still be positions to fight for at the end. So many people have had crashes so far.
Yeah, and Broad's been probably a lot better than what his pace and position has actually been showing so far this race. This interesting close battle here between these 4 cars. So we have Wade Sheedy at the front of this. No, we don't. It is Ryan Jones, Tyson Broad, Gordon Ramsay, who, as you said, picked up that penalty before, and Stuart Ellis after that excellent qualifying. Now, this is what we call the draft train. If Tyson is unable to get a move on Ryan Jones ahead, then unfortunately the guys behind are probably stuck to where they are. So they'll be hoping that either Tyson can get a move on or wedges the door open a little bit to see if they can elevate themselves a little further.
Well, Gordon Ramsay still having a black flag to serve, and if he doesn't serve it by the end of the race, it will be turned into a time penalty, I believe. He is currently 10th outright, but he won't get race to pole when that penalty is applied, I don't think, at least. He is still trying to make moves further into the top 10 here behind Tyson Broad. So let's have a look at Ramsay, 7th at the moment. My apologies. Completely misread all of that as white flag flies. Let's see if he can end up getting into the top 10 with that penalty and get the race to pole as there's contact between Broad and Jones. Ramsey might go through the middle here. No, the track narrows up a little bit too much, and then Jones gives a bump to Ramsey as well on the inside. That's very deep for Gordon Ramsay, and Tyson Broad gets tapped in the back for the second time in this race. Ryan Jones gets on through. Broad has to avoid, and look, there's a fourth car coming into this now. This is looking fantastic between these drivers. That fourth car is Stuart Ellis, who's trying to recover here. Take it easy into the first corner of the run onto the oval. It's so important to get the run out of the corners here. Traction is paramount at Daytona, and Ryan Jones spins. That's going to give another position to Ramsey and Ellis. So that means Ellis is now in 10th overall, and that means he will get race 2 pole from here. We still have to think about those penalties, though. The run to the line is about to begin here for Bo Albert and Thomas Hinz up the front of the field. Hinsey in the slipstream, but he's not quite 100% in that hole created by Bo Albert. It's going to be tight here on the run to the line. The checkered flag comes out, and they are side by side on the way here. Albert goes to the apron to defend. It is a photo finish here in race 1 at Daytona, and Bo Albert takes it by 8 thousandths of a second.
Even though he's won the championship, look at what that means to him. It's great to win the duel off the Daytona chicane. I wouldn't know what that feeling's like. I lose it every time. We got the last couple of cars coming towards the line here. I think we missed a position change where Corey Lazarus took P number 6 ahead of Wade Sheedy, Broad in 8th, Ramsey 9th with that penalty looming. Stuart Ellis managed to top 10. And then, oh my goodness.
Dear.
Oh, wow, that's a big side swipe. Sam Sproul, one of the fastest spins we've seen all season long. Does a casual 360, will probably dip the clutch and get going again, so saves it, but wow, that's a mighty moment there, Reed.
And that was contact with Aiden Coote. Seemed that Sproul left the door open on the inside, and Coote thought he could go through, but the door was ever so slightly shutting as he came alongside. Oh dear. Well, slow runs off the finish of the race here, and that is going to be our race 1 completed. Top 10 will be reversed, and well, I guess that's a good opportunity to go through the results in a second. It seems that Nick Tamores has had some problems with the engine, or he's out of fuel. I'm not quite sure there, Ross, but potential to underfuel the car here at Daytona.
Yeah, you could potentially do that because you will get a lot of drafting opportunity, but play it wrong and you end up coughing and spluttering to the line, not going anywhere particularly quickly. So we'll see him fix that up surely for the next race. And there you go. Car number 1, P number 1, but only just. Bo Albert wins over Thomas Hinz, followed by Sean Linsell and then Ben Johnson. Steve Tonkin with that amazing 5th place for the AM class. Corey Lazarus keeps his championship hopes well and truly alive with that P number 6 outright. Wade Sheedy in 7th. Then Tyson Broad with the recovery of the night so far. P number 8 after being turned around at lap 1. And Stuart Ellison P9 and Alan Dawson P10 in reverse grid pole race.
Yep, that penalty was applied for Gordon Ramsay after the fact. Bilson finishes in 11th after starting from overall pole position. He's followed by Van Treek and Jones, with Matt Bowler coming up to 14th place after starting from the very back of the grid. Andrew Smith will take 15th overall, with Carl Zink and Josh Lane, the next 2 of our AM cars, with Aiden Coote finishing ahead of Gordon Ramsay, who's had that penalty applied, will be classified 19th, and Dylan Shepherd will finish in 20th spot after coming together with our championship elect.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to see Dylan recover in the next race. We know he's got pace, we know he's got aggression. Then we've got Sam Sproul in 21st, Pat Harding in 22nd, Simon Mazzomo after that disastrous opening stanza, 23rd, Stefan Lawrence in 24th, Nick Tamora is the last car on the lead lap, with Daniel Benefield, that unfortunate retirement after starting on the front row.
Yeah, big shame for Benefield. He's going to have a lot of work to do coming into this next race. We're going to step aside briefly here on SimSpeed TV. When we come back, it's going to be the final race of the AOG Porsche Cup for Season 7. Inverted top 10, 18 laps. Can't wait.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
You're watching SimSpeed TV. It is the final race of the season, and oh my god, it's a special paint job here for the safety car driven by Dan Yeaman. You brought out the safety car. Great job. Oh, so good. Fantastic. I mean, Dan Yeaman is just tireless in his work for the AusNZ sim racing community. He doesn't just run the whole portfolio of leagues at AOG, drives the safety car, does race control, and he's also helped out other series with their rule books and stewarding. And I think a very central figure in the community here, Ross.
Oh, certainly. My respect for Dan is through the roof with how much effort he puts into sim racing these days. And this is just a friendly reminder, this is all certainly for fun. We can all take it as seriously as we like and pretend we're real race car drivers and whatnot, but if you can't do it without a laugh and a smile on your face, well, that's the best way to do it. And yeah, Dan Yeaman, not taking himself too seriously, enjoying the time out on track here as well, Reese. So yeah, hopefully we won't need to see it for real tonight. But if we do, at least it looks good on track.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, speaking of on track, we should probably go for this grid here for race 2, which is going to be in the night here at Daytona. Alan Dawson is going to start on pole after finishing 10th in race 1, classified at least, with Stuart Ellis joining him on the front row. Tyson Broad is going to start in 3rd. We didn't think he'd be there after his shunt on lap 1 last race. Wade Sheedy's going to join him on the 2nd row. Corey Lazarus, Pro-Am Championship leader, will probably be able to keep some kind of grip on that championship. Steve Tonkin racing for the AM class title alongside him. Benjamin Johnson and Sean Linsell start alongside each other as well. Linsell looking to break into that Pro-Am title with Thomas Hinz and Bo Albert rounding out the top 10.
Then starting in P number 11, we have Riley Bilson, who will be out for redemption here in race number 2. Then Josh Van Treek also out for redemption in race number 2. Then we have in P number 13, we have Ryan Jones and then Matt Bowler, who has slowly made his way forward. Now we've got Andrew Smith and then Kyle Zink, the next to the AM drivers, MP number 16. Then Josh Lane in 17th, and Aiden Coote, who was up the front early in race number 1. He will be looking again for redemption. I'm going to overuse that word a bit, I think. And then Gordon Ramsay, after his penalty applied, is P number 19. And then Dylan Shepherd from 20th spot. I think he's going to be the one to watch, Reed.
Yeah, certainly will be. Sam Sproul's going to start alongside Patrick Harding, 21st and 22nd. Then Simon Mazomo will try and make a recovery in the 0-1, starting alongside Stefan Lawrence, who also had a couple of crashes on the way to his finish. Nick Tamores and Daniel Benefield will round out our field, and Dan is certainly going to be looking to make something of his night here with Yeaman and Kefford once again in race control. We'll be bringing out the safety cars if need be. And as we enter the night here at Daytona, track temp still reasonable in terms of temperature, 24 degrees Celsius as we're coming up to 9 p.m. in sim time. Who will get the best start out of everyone here off the rolling getaway? Green flag will be hanging in the air as the iRacing pace car is now in the pits. When does Dawson decide to put the power down? Wait for the green flag. We'll see who gets the best run into turn 1 here to end the AOG Porsche Cup season. Green flag flies and we are away. Alan Dawson versus Stuart Ellis on the front row, but Broad's already pressuring them to get into the top 2. We've already got cars off in the background. Onto the apron and the grass is Patrick Harding, but Dawson leads into turn 1. Going wide was Ellis, letting Tyson Broad through. And that will be second place for the number 27 as things stand, but it's a huge pack behind. Corey Lazarus versus Joshua Van Treek. Van Treek up the inside there, coming into the first of our hairpins. But oh, that's a bit of a check up there. It looks like Ellis had a bit of a slide coming out of the horseshoe.
Yeah, Tyson Broad pulled a move for the race lead and in goes into the wall. Goes, I think that was Smith. Does he come back in?
Re-entry.
Yeah, could barely get that car stopped. Smith does eventually get through. Okay, but yes, Broad went for a move for the race lead on Dawson. Didn't quite pull off, and then the field checked up behind Dawson as he kind of semi-recovered from a poor exit, and then it all just went off from there, Reese. And look, it's still going, and a car out wide as they get onto the oval, Reese.
Yeah, it looks like that's Stuart Ellis who has unfortunately come a cropper there. Lost the rear end on the outside of the turn, and Simon Mazomo could do Kyle Zink could do practically nothing and went straight into him. Well, at the end of lap 1, looks to me like Tyson Broad with the advantage of them all, and Bo Albert getting up into second spot. He's just pulled a move there on Alan Dawson. Matthew Bowler is going to come through as well. That's a really good run on the first lap for Bowler. He's up to 4th, 10 places gained.
Oh, that is wild, and it's about to get wild here out of oval number 4. It's side by side with Linsell and Sproul and Hind. They're going to actually go 2 by 2. I thought they're going to go 3 wide into T1. He's holding it in deep here. The 066 does try to filter in ahead of Hinsey, but Hinsey's there. Oh, and then the 34 runs wide and tags Bilson, the 995, around again in consecutive races, Reese. And Benefield, started so promising for Benefield.
Yeah, both Benefield and Bilson have had nights to forget, haven't they, as Shepherd now fighting a bit further back in the field. Oh dear, it's another car off coming out of the hairpin. Who's that? It looks like a drop bear car. Is that Benefield again? No, it's Benjamin Johnson in the 727. Hinds, meanwhile, making his way up to 4th in pro, and Shepherd going off as well. Oh dear. There's again an awful lot going on in the first couple of laps. It looks like Stefan Lawrence has had an issue as well. He is dropping way down the order and has probably found the wall, potentially another car somewhere along the line. Lawrence does get back up to speed. Doesn't look like there's any visual damage to the car. I think it might have just been a spin and nothing more.
Wow, that was a lot to cram into one lap. And look, wow, that gap that Tyson Broad had has completely evaporated in just one lap. And he's got the champion hot on his heels. And Matt Bowler in P number 3. You called out how good his first lap was. How good's his second? He's going to have a look at the exchange for the lead right here and probably get amongst it here, Reese. Bo with a fantastic run out of oval number 3, and it goes up high into oval number 4. He doesn't have the draft anymore, but that's where Bowler can come in. He's doing the exact opposite to what he did to Dylan, giving him as much room as he can possibly take. Here comes Bowler. Does he try to thread the needle? Who is braver under brakes? Broad holds the inside. Bo tries to switch back to the inside. He gets it on the... He does manage to pull it up at the apex. Really outfoxes Broad there and takes P number 1. Great.
That's fantastic, and it looks like Bowler's going to try and take advantage as well. Gets up the inside of Broad into the first of the international horseshoes, but almost an attempt at an over-under from the number 27. Does get a better exit ever so slightly than Bowler, but this is just going to allow Albert to get away. Braking for the second horseshoe, got to take it easy on the way in. Here's a replay of what happened to Bilson. Went wide, and then Benefield comes steaming in. He unfortunately suffered a bit of a lockup on the way into turn 1 himself, so it just went from bad to worse for Riley Bilson. Here's Thomas Hinz as well, having just gotten past, I think that's Aiden Coote there, and yeah, Kinsey was involved in that mega crash there with Benjamin Johnson. He does get back up to speed with minimal damage though. Unfortunately for Hinsey, he's got quite a bit of work to do if he even wants to break into the top 10 from this point. And here is the pass for the lead. This was fantastic stuff from Bo Albert and Tyson Broad. Albert just getting on the brakes a little bit earlier, siding to the inside. Didn't look like there was contact there. Broad just going a little bit deep and allowing Albert through on that inside lane.
Yeah, absolute clinic there from Bo Albert. Now, the importance of what we saw there with Hinsey, he's going for P2 in this championship. That will not help. He's got the pace to try and get up there, but does he have the time? Oh, there we go. 3 wide. How do you like that? So that's the AM. We got an AM class driver. Two AM class drivers in that one? Is that a... Oh my goodness, my colours are all over the place. But here comes Hinsey around the outside, and then the run from Josh Lane, who's going to get Hinsey, get into the rear quarter of Hinsey. That will ruin his chances to try and get alongside into turn 1, but instead he uses the right foot on the brakes, or the left foot depending if you're a left braker, to send it down the outside, and in an upper position goes Hinsey.
Yeah, good stuff from Thomas. Gearing up for a run through the field. He's a really good racer. Benefield has also made up a position here, or has he, on Josh Lane? No, he hasn't quite. Wider line through the hairpin though might get him a better run up the inside, and Lane will have to yield that one coming into the infield kink. Does manage to just keep it off the grass. A lot of work for Benefield to do in car number 34. We also saw that Simon Mazzomo has the fastest lap of everyone so far, 146.03, and if I'm not mistaken, that is a solid 5 tenths quicker than anyone else has managed to run on that previous lap. Speaking of Mazzomo, there's a move that he just made on Aiden Coote. Managed to get up the inside into the horseshoe. He is on a charge.
He made that look easy, and that move is anything but. Now look at the pressure that Bowler is going to put on Bo. Fantastic textbook of a bus stop there. Look at the run he's got. He's probably he's going to give him a bit of a bump here, bit of a bump draft. We love seeing this in GT cars. Full NASCAR spec, drafting in up to the competitor ahead of you, giving them a bit of a boost, so then you can pull out at the right moment to then go for the move yourself without losing too much speed in the headwind. Here he goes. Does he strike? Go side to the inside? No, Bo covers. And look, there's Tyson Broad still in the picture here. So that keeps this three-train battle for the lead well and truly alive. But we're trying to see perhaps Bowler and Bo thinking about the long game and trying to pull away from the pack behind Reese.
Yeah, long game is worth thinking about, especially considering we have mandatory pit stops coming up. We are in the window and we already have a few cars in the lane. Hinz, Bilson, Ellis and Ramsey all into the pit lane and getting their mandatory 2-tyre service. What will the leaders do to play this game? Reminder, yeah, there it is. Required pit stop for at least 2 tyres. The pit window opened on lap 4 and it will remain open until lap 14. Only a 10-lap window for drivers to get that mandatory service done. But if you're battling as hard as these guys up the front, I would guess that you want to try and leave that pit stop as late as possible, because if you end up pitting early out of this pack here, you stand a chance of coming out in traffic and losing out to your rivals. And you certainly don't want that if you're Bo Albert with Matthew Bowler right on the rear.
Could throw a cat amongst the pigeons, though, because Bowler is clearly relishing the chance to attack Bo here and staying in that draft. So maybe an early pit stop for Bo might not be a bad idea, but he's probably also looking for the fun factors. He'll probably stay out. Someone who definitely wants to stay out, and that is Tyson Broad. He is making monster pace, trying to latch onto these two guys ahead of him. And you can see the gap visually closing. And that's despite a bump draft again from Matt Bowler. They're trying to break the draft back to Tyson Broad and generally make it a two-horse fight. But Broad has just enough pace to be a bit of a nuisance to these guys.
Yeah, he's gearing up very nicely, isn't he, as Tyson Broad? More or less equally spaced as our top three coming into the infield, and that shows you how much the slipstream is worth, as that's deep there from Benefield, and he is fighting hard with Joshua Van Treek at the moment. It looked like an attempt at a move into turn one that ultimately went awry. Benefield's just been having trouble on the brakes. Full stop here tonight with that lock-up in race one that took him out of the lead, and then a couple of incidents of going way too deep into the first corner here in race two.
Yes, and to put it into perspective, these things are very, very hard to stop, very move around a lot under brakes, and for someone like Benefield with as much experience as he has at sim racing, this car is completely new to him, so I'm not surprised at all that he is struggling a little bit. The pace is there when he can hook up the lap, but it does come undone a little bit in his racecraft. He's got a great run here on Sam Sproul, so he's getting himself back into contention. But yes, those brake issues have marred his evening so far, right?
Yeah, well, brake issues, not an issue for our top three. They've managed to pull it up very nicely at every corner so far. It looks like Benefield finally getting back past Van Treek there, and back into 11th place. Benefield, incidentally, is equal most positions gained in the field, along with Simon Mizomo, who's running in 8th. Here's the slipstream again for Matthew Bowler, and again the bump draft on Bo Albert, and again it looks like Tyson Broad, he just loses out coming out of the infield and onto the oval, but the slipstream and the braking zone for turn one bring him right back into the fight. If he can just sort out those issues, if he's having them, then he could be a real contender for the win here.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just, I think a lot of the dirty air that he's getting heading into the bus stop and just unable to deal with it as well as the two pro cars ahead of him. Well, Bo doesn't have any dirty air to contend with, but Bowler having no issues whatsoever. Actually, he's right up behind our Bowler now and actually giving a flash of the headlights. Oh, and that's Josh Lane recovering after a spin out of turn number one. So one of our AM contenders striking a bit of trouble here. But Broad's pace looks fine on the infield. Absolutely fine. It's probably just that one corner you're talking about, Rick.
Yeah, potentially the run onto the oval here and then the bus stop as well. You can see the gap sort of extending a tiny bit there with him versus Bowler. Meanwhile, not the same as the last time we saw Daniel Benefield running deep again in the first corner, and Van Treek comes up alongside him. Hard to run side by side through this section of the course, but they do manage to keep out of each other's hair. But Benefield protecting the position for the time being. If he could just sort out those brake issues, Benefield will work his way forward. It actually looks like Broad's managed to sort most of his issues out there. I mean, you see once again, just getting the exit out of the bus stop is so important, because Bowler right on the back of Albert coming out of that corner. Oh, Patrick Harding having a bit of a problem keeping it on the track there in the turn coming onto the oval. 4th in the AM class so far. He's running quite well, actually. 17th overall. Has yet to take his pit stop, though, along with most of the field. But, having just said that, Simon Mizomo and Ryan Jones only just coming into the pit lane to get their service done. And they came out from positions just around the edge of the top 10.
And then this is where we'll take an interest in Hinsey, who I think is the first car on the road to have taken his pit stop. Now, I was interested in the lap times between what kind of lap times Hinsey is producing versus our leaders. He lost 4/10 last time by. Now, he's without draft, So that seems pretty significant given that Bowler is giving Bo a bump draft. So there is pace in this car of the number 52. This time by, we're going to pretend like it's a qualifying lap here, but again, it's another 46.9, and the leaders again did mid 46s. Here come the cars rejoining onto the racetrack here. They will come out ahead of Hinsey, and that'll be a bit of heartbreak here for Hinsey, though he is still recovering after that earlier shunt here, Reese. But he might be a little bit relieved that now he can now have some targets set, and now he's clear air. He's making the most of his clear air now, Reese.
Yeah, for sure. And if Mazomo and Jones start to battle, that's interesting to note, actually. Jones, with a pit stop 3 seconds faster than Simon Mazomo. Might he have... well, there's no fuel in the pit stops, I would imagine. It's only tyres you really need to change. But, yeah, interesting to see that Jones gained so much on Mazomo there and is now ahead of him. Either way, keep our eyes here on the number 4 of Corey Lazarus. He has got Linsell, Dawson, and Tonkin behind him. These guys all battling hard in this pack. Tonkin right on the back of them all. And again, it's been a fantastic run from Steve Tonkin this whole season. Aiden Coote, meanwhile, coming into the pit lane. You see him there in 12th. He was in 11th just a few moments ago. He'll fall down the order a bit. But this fight is looking really tight. Coming into the horseshoe, Corey Lazarus stays just ahead and a little bit wide on the way out for Sean Linsell. But it does look to me like he will protect the position from Tonkin for the time being.
Yeah, this would be an interesting spot here for Corey Lazarus, who's at the head of the queue and the head of the Pro-Am Championship. So he might have to play a little bit of risk mitigation with these guys potentially jostling behind him. He's probably not going to be able to catch the guys in front of him. Let's be realistic. And Broad is having enough, having his hands full trying to keep up with those guys as well. Aiden Coote, as we called out earlier, that is a very, very long pit stop. 35 seconds. That might be a whole service of fuel and tyres, which is absolutely not needed here. And then Joshua Van Treek recovering again. He's had good pace, but it's just awful luck, unable to go with it. Now look at Bowler right on the back of our race leader here, Reed.
Yeah, he is right on the back, and these guys will be looking at the laps tick away and wondering, well, which of us is going to blink first and come into the lane. Again, a huge, huge run out of the bus stop, and no sign that any of these guys will be coming into the pit lane. But have a look at Broad. He is closer than he's ever been to these guys, and he's actually thinking about making a run for second here. On the outside, coming into turn 1, he's nice and aggressive. He does go outside track limits, but straightens it up nicely. And this is the best position he's been in to try and take this win the whole night.
Yeah, I wonder how he's thinking backwards from the race. I can guarantee that both Bowler and Bo are thinking about it. They have that raw pace, but Broad not quite as quick. He does look okay on the infield section. It's just that bus stop that we've noticed has caused him a couple of dramas so far. But yeah, we'll see how he's thinking back from here. Now, Linsell on screen, having a move on the inside of Alan Dawson. Oh, Dawson just about gets into the rear of him. Timed to perfection there almost, but that could have been very quickly unfolded there, Rick.
Battle for the lead again. Bo Albert just struggling with a tiny bit of oversteer coming out of the corner there. And that did allow Bowler to get a slight advantage, but it hasn't carried through to the banking. And Broad's fallen off the back of them once more here, perhaps making a few small, tiny errors. But the slipstream will be with him coming into the bus stop and then into turn 1 once more. Good, clean run through the first part of the Le Mans chicane for all of them. And, well, equidistant they are, and equidistant they will certainly not stay. Bowler in the draft has been monstering the back of Bo Albert every single lap. They'll be coming up onto lap 11 now, and only 3 laps left to complete their mandatory pit stop. And at this point, I'd think they're committing to running as long as they can.
Yeah, with the pace these guys are running, they will potentially come out in traffic that haven't pitted. And look how deep Broad goes. He's liking this very wide line. Oh, in fact, that's too wide there from Broad. He'll need a mega infield here to actually salvage the draft. This could be actually, that mistake may have defined Broad's race. If he can't stay on the back of these guys, they'll eventually drop him. So he's got to get a wiggle on here. His midfields have looked pretty good, but this lap is probably the most important of his race so far, Reece.
All right. We'll keep an eye on that, but there's more to the racing between Dawson and Linsell than we first realized. Let's have a look at this coming onto onto the tri-oval. That was a bit of a swipe there from Dawson, and Linsell just managing to avoid contact there. Well, having a look at our leaders, it seems that Broad has managed to stay within a good distance to Albert and Bowler. But yeah, he might be just falling off the back of that draft train. Corey Lazarus running in 5th in the Pro-Am class. And he's done a 14.9 second stop. It's currently the leader of the cars that have pitted and is one of the most recent to have pitted. Tonkin also came in on that lap. It looks like Patrick Harding might have as well. So Tonkin falls to 2nd in AM, but he will undoubtedly get that lead back if he can keep it on the track and keep it out of the barriers.
Just spotted that Hinsey has made a spot on Ryan Jones further back in the field. Hinsey doing having some really good pace, but fastest car that time by Daniel Benefield. Unfortunately, no one around him to really capitalize on that pace. So will we see more when he puts when he changes those tires? But just a shame he's not in draft to really show us what he can do at the front.
Alan Dawson also comes into the pits from 6th. Benefield going by him and taking that 5th spot. It looks like Nick Tamores is in the lane as well. I would imagine that we'll also see Stefan Lawrence in there very shortly. It looks like Lawrence... No, actually, yes, he is. He is going for the lane. And first time we've actually seen an onboard of a pit entry here at Daytona. Very difficult to slow the car down for pit entry, especially in these things.
Yeah, Lawrence kind of making us all look like it's so easy, but it is incredibly difficult. One thing we haven't really spoken about is how low grip this track surface is. It feels that way anyway. It feels like you're on a bit of an ice skating rink, and these cars, well, they don't grip particularly well at the best of times to begin with. And that pit entry, it's one of the fastest you'll ever come by on the service. No surprise coming from the oval, but decelerating down to 90 kilometers an hour from, in some cases, nearly 300. Oh, look at this from Albert. Big mistake, big opportunity here for Bowler. And Tyson Broad, he goes to the inside of Bo, and he's going to get a huge run on Bowler. Is he going to bump drive? Oh, that's actually a pretty big hit. He's not going to want to hit much harder than that while they've got some steering angle on the car here, Reece, because that can easily put a car in the fence, and now he's a bit indecisive about where he wants to go.
Okay, well, Albert might get them both back here. Oh, technical issues for Tyson Broad. That's not good. Broad will be on the outside. Albert will yield here. That was a mistake that Bo made all on his own. And this is not confidence inspiring with Broad having tech issues on the outside. Albert does get by him though. Car off in the background. That's Kyle Zink that's had issues. Sean Linsell coming into the pits. And Bo Albert's back to the race lead. So a little bit of a slip up, but he managed to regain his step.
Wow, so a bit of probably, oh, here we go. No, he's going to try and hold it around the outside. Surely not. Yeah, discretion the better part of valor here. He'll have plenty of opportunities later, will Matt Bowler, but he is putting the blowtorch onto Bo. We're really seeing, Bo really being stretched here a little bit here. He's made that mistake. He's recovered well, but now he's fighting really hard here with Bowler, who goes around the outside again. Is he lining up a bit of an outside move? Oh no, he just about lights up the rears. We'll lose the spot to Broad, but that is absolutely Bo off the leash here. And in fact, neither of them seem to be getting Bo's draft. What's going on here? Are they both going to lose out and let our leader just get away like that?
Yeah, I think that might be what happens unless Bowler and Broad can work together a little. You see Broad's already giving him the hurry up and saying, okay, I'll bump draft you, mate. Let's try and catch back up to Bo here. Through the same corner where Albert had his issue on the last lap, it seems that he nailed it that time. We're going to have a look at how all of those shenanigans started. Albert just getting a little bit too much oversteer on the way in, gathered it up, but was offline through the second part of the chicane. That's what allowed Bowler to get through, and this is how he got the lead back. Lovely move up the inside of the first hairpin.
And I think Bowler being a little distracted by Broad them gave him the opportunity he needed. Corey Lazarus here fighting with Sean Linsell. Linsell straight out of the pits and right onto the back of our Pro-Am champion-elect. Through the bus stop we go. He's got a title line here versus Lazarus. He'll be lining up a good slipstream here to have a look at turn one. Lazarus trying to go a little bit high to break the draft here, but Linsell knows what this is all about. We'll see that Evolution Racing Team Porsche get bigger and bigger and bigger as he'll try to sail past. Now, wide goes Lazarus. Linsell following. To the inside he goes. In fact, I think Lazarus could be done here. Round the outside he goes of Linsell. Linsell just bled her on the brakes. Lazarus not wanting a part of that. Linsell takes the position from our Pro-Am Championship leader.
Yeah, and don't forget, Linsell is second in the Pro-Am Championship. Pit window closes this lap, so the leaders will have to come in this time, as well as Daniel Benefield. That move from Linsell, could that have been the move that decides the Pro-Am class title? Either way, the gap is still going to be incredibly tight between Lazarus and Linsell. On board here with Matt Bowler behind Bo Albert. They are all going to be coming into the lane this time. They have to, otherwise they'll get a very heavy penalty from race control. It's going to be a battle of the pit crews from here on out, and Tyson Broad still in the window to try and make a move if he can keep up the pace that he has. Sticking to the inside, blending off the oval over the double yellow lines on the brakes here. How much of a gain will any of them make? Looks like Albert got in quite sedately, but only small gains from Matthew Bowler. Broad, though, right on the rear bumper of the number 12 coming into the lane. And here we go. All of them coming into the pit box now.
As our attention turns to the battle for the Pro-Am lead. Well, sorry, no, that's in Tyson Broad's hands, but Corey Lazarus not quite letting Sean Linsell get away, but looks like Linsell had an excellent infield. That's a bigger gap than we're used to seeing. And we're seeing a safety car. The safety car has been called, and it looks like it's for Patrick Harding, who is stuck in the tyres there as you enter the oval. So it's probably just absolutely come a cropper there. And look at the race off pit lane. Not much of a race anymore, but it is Bo Albert who leads from Matt Bowler. But look at how much time Tyson Broad lost, but he'll get that all back. Linsell just about puts it into the grass here. Will he beat the drop bear car of Daniel Benefield? He will get Benefield. But that's a huge recovery from the number 34. This safety car is exactly what Benefield would have needed, Reese.
Yeah, for sure. Benefield is going to come out in 5th, and he could make himself an element in the battle for the race victory here, and could turn his night around. I think we should take a look at the pit exit for Tyson Broad after we see what brought out the safety car. So Harding, into the turn coming onto the oval behind Simon Mazzomo, just went too deep and slams into the tyre bundles, and that car is wedged so far in there he can't get it out. You see him trying to spin the rear wheels to get it going, but it just won't.
Yeah, that's like, that car just was not stopping. It was quite wild. Now here is the pit exit from Broad. Oh my god! He nearly loops it on pit lane. He is gassing it up full IndyCar style to try. Oh, and he's actually tapped the brake there. Yeah. I wonder if for a moment he might not have had the pit limiter on and might have just almost tripped that. Now let's see if he's actually escaped the wrath of the iRacing stewards and not grabbed a speeding penalty, but I have a feeling that's what he tried.
Yeah, looks like he is okay, but yeah, he almost did a Renus VK there with fortunately no car to his left as he went for the slide. Either way, safety car will come out, and yeah, thank goodness there was that bit of tarmac there on the inside of pit exit to get him going, and yeah, it does seem that he was a little bit over the pit speed limit there. Either way, Dan Yeaman has brought the safety car out, and we say congratulations to him for doing that.
Yeah, the flashlight party on this magnificent looking McLaren 570S. Jesus, Bo Albert nearly putting a dent on the beautiful McLaren. The 570S, I think it's the 570S, the GT4 spec McLaren. Looking, I'd say resplendent in those colors, but obviously quite hilarious too. So the field bunching up behind Dan Yeaman in the safety car. And Reese, this changes the dynamic of the race completely. You can see on the top left of your screen, 3 laps to go, but that's the current lap. So we're only going to have a 2-lap shootout here to determine out the last race winner of this season. Will Bo notch up yet another victory, or will Matt Bowler finally grab a victory that he's been long overdue for, I must say, given his pace? Or will it be someone else in the pack tonight, Rick?
Yeah, we've got a few drivers to keep an eye on here. Albert, of course, the favourite to win. Bowler, as you mentioned, has been searching for this win all season. He's shown great potential for it, especially in the early season. Broad's still staying with them, though, and managing to get away from that pit stop with 0 penalties on the board. Linsell might be a factor as well. Of course, he has got the Pro-Am Championship to worry about, and Corey Lazarus will be hoping that Benefield can slow him up a little bit when he inevitably makes his move. And I'll be keeping an eye on Benefield as well in the number 34 Drop Bear car, currently in 5th spot. We'll see if he can recover and make good on his qualifying pace.
Yeah, Benefield is probably the only one in this queue with nothing to lose. That will mean a lot, I think. The only issue is he's going to have to inevitably lose time trying to get past Linsell and Broad to try and get to the race lead here, and that's going to be no mean feat. They've got plenty of pace. The draft train is going to make it extremely difficult to make his way through. So, look, if anyone's going to do it from back there, it's probably going to be Benefield or Shepherd. Unfortunately, Shepherd is out, but given how good he's been under brakes, it could be a factor. So here we go. Through the bus stop we go. Is the safety car coming in this lap?
It is. Just pulled away from the field.
Fantastic. We're going to have a 2-lap sprint. So now the question is, how do you play this from the back end of the race? Do you want to be P number 2 coming out of the bus stop? P number 3? Where do you want to be here, Reese?
I'd say you want to be behind by about 0.5 of a second, because you can then use the slipstream all the way down the final run to the line and try to slingshot your way past. Of course, you're going to have to deal with defensive weaving potentially from the driver in front of you, but you see how much Bowler is looking to get this going. Right on the bumper of Bo Albert, who puts the power down. He goes early, and the field is away here for the final run to the line in the AOG Porsche Cup Season 7, presented by Bowler Media. Let's see then what kind of screenshots Matt Bowler can get from this one. Starting this final run in second, and hard on the brakes into turn 1. Benefield alongside Linsell, but he's on the outside, can't get past.
Oh, that would have been a great opportunity for Benefield to throw the cat amongst the pigeon. Simon Mazzomo side by side with Corey Lazarus. So this is potentially our outgoing Pro-Am champion with our incoming Pro-Am champion. This will be a cool little battle here. But Lazarus holding out for the time being against the Mets.
Yep. Top 2 still very close meanwhile, and side by side again between Benefield and Linsell. Benefield going round the outside of the kink. You almost never see that. It's incredible. And up the inside into the horseshoe he goes. Lazarus and Mazzomo now right on the back of Linsell. The fight for the Pro-Am win, or Pro-Am second place rather, is back on.
And one thing we haven't talked about with Benefield, the other thing that he doesn't have, the other two don't have, is a teammate to potentially work with. Can he and Tyson Broad work together to get this done? Maybe get 2 drop air cars on the podium. There's one there at the moment. Oh, but look at the run that Bowler has on our race leader. We're looking backwards from the Bowmobile, currently leading. Matt Bowler has been still bump drafting this car, as we've seen all night. A little bit of overlap here, but just tucks the car back in. Oh, that looked a little too much grass there, a little race. That could be an issue. Do we see the number 12 have to drop speed? It looks like it's okay, so it looks like we are on for a 1-lap dash race.
Yeah, oh, this is going to be fantastic. The run to the line, to the white flag for Bo Albert and Matthew Bowler. The bump draft is back on. Now Benefield is going to line up his teammate Tyson Broad, give him a little bit of a bump draft. Can they do anything on the infield here on the final lap? Broad will go defensive versus Benefield, and Bowler just sits behind Albert through the first corner. No use trying to make a move here for the race lead. You have to wait until you get to the oval. Benefield again trying around the outside of Broad, but Broad wants this podium. He wants the Pro-Am points, and Benefield goes deep, almost allows Linsell back past him for overall fourth. Meanwhile, it looks like Albert and Bowler back themselves up a little bit. Broad is right on the back of them again. Could be the fight for the win here for at least one of our drop bear cars. Out of the second horseshoe they come, and Bowler gets a slightly better exit than Bo Albert, but he's not going to make a move up the inside here. This is the critical point of the lap, the accelerator. How quickly can you get onto it coming onto the oval? Slightly tighter line there for Bowler. Would have gained a couple of centimeters of distance on Bo Albert for that one, but I would doubt that he'd make a move into the Le Mans chicane here. Sticking tight to the inside. He's going to wait for the run out of the chicane and to the line. Outside, Albert sticking a little bit further off the wall. Gives Bowler a bit of space if he wants to take it. Nice and gentle onto the power now. And this is going to be the fight for the win. Bowler, I think, is in the box seat right now. The bump draft will be over. He's just going to focus on getting that pace, on getting alongside Albert. He's going to flick up the banking. Is he? No, he's actually going to go to the inside here, but Albert protects from him. A little bit of contact, and I think that's done it. Little bit more of a run here, but Bo Albert will take the win, and, well, that's a good time to crash after the line. Bowler losing out on the win by 0.08 of a second. Broad just getting in.
Oh, Daytona gonna Daytona. Even though these aren't NASCARs, we see those epic shots at the end of the race with the last few positions up for grabs. But there we have it. The statement of the season. Bo Albert takes another victory, and he's incredibly pumped with that one, as I think that was Riley Bilson giving a bit of a celebratory punt, I think. But no, look at what that means to the champ. That was a fantastic display from the guys out front race.
Yeah, that was brilliant. Albert takes off his gloves for the final time this season and can raise the Champions Trophy officially here. Fantastic stuff. Bo Albert takes the win in the final round of the season, with Matt Bowler and Tyson Broad completing the podium. Daniel Benefield will finish ahead of Sean Linsell and Corey Lazarus. Still not sure quite how the Pro-Am Championship is sorted out from there. Simon Mazzomo and Thomas Hinz will finish in 7th and 8th, both very good recoveries there, with Ryan Jones in 9th and Riley Bilson getting into the top 10. That is going to be a slight improvement on his race 1 result.
In P11 is Sam Sproul and taking yet another AM win. Steve Tonkin in P12 outright. Nick Tamores into 13th after starting towards the back of the field, and Aidan Coote had to recover from race number 1. 14th for the 066. Then Joshua Van Treek 15th. Josh Lane a solid 16th outright, followed by in 17th place, Stefan Lawrence wrapping up the AM podium. Then Alan Dawson, who started at the front for this race, will be disappointed with that result. Then Ben Johnson and Stuart Ellis in P number 20.
Finishing in 21st was Gordon Ramsay. Sorry, Andrew Smith. Ramsay finishing behind him. Patrick Harding comes home, or actually doesn't come home, unfortunately. 23rd classified, 5 laps off the lead after collecting the wall. Kyle Zink and Dylan Shepard also retired, and Wade Sheedy did not take to the start. Well, that's going to bring to an end the proceedings here for the AOG Porsche Cup Season 7, and this guy here, Steve Tonkin, celebrating his AM Class Championship victory. What a season it has been from the number 82.
Yeah, he'll be thrilled with that. Put on a clinic all season, and I'm sure we'll see him contest, hopefully for the Pro-Am Championship, but we saw how hot that was, and we're still yet to hopefully get word from the race organisers to see if Corey Lazarus is indeed our Pro-Am champion. He had a fantastic round tonight. Probably didn't pick up the win overall in points. That would have gone to Tyson Broad, but I think he would have had enough of a margin even after that disaster at Barber to have pulled it off, I think, Reese. But hopefully we'll have word soon.
Yeah, for sure. We'll have potentially some input from Dan Yeaman. Keep an eye in here for our driver interviews as well. The first driver we're going to talk to, of course, is Bo Albert. Matthew Bowler finishing just behind you in race 2, Bo, and it was a very close gap for the race win in race 1 as well. You definitely had to work for those wins tonight.
Oh, absolutely. Those finishes were absolutely nuts. That was awesome fun. Race 1 as well, I won by 0.008, and then I decided to blow the gap out massively to 800ths in race 2. I can't believe I managed to get both wins. I truly thought this was going to be the rounds that doesn't matter how competitive you are, it was always going to be pretty difficult to get the race win. So to hold on just as the leader both times, I'm pretty bloody stoked, not going to lie.
Excellent stuff. Well, I mean, you wrapped up the championship pretty early on in the standings, but overall, I think the season was pretty exciting from our perspective. How did you find it?
Absolutely. I mean, on paper, it looks very dominant for me, and I guess in some aspects, sure it was. But you think back to the races, Imola, I won all 3 races. All 3, I had the ERT cars hounding me every single lap. Go back to Jerez as well, me versus Josh Thomas, massive fight there. And here, combine both race victory margins combined, and it's still less than 1/10 of a second. So, you know, even though it might look dominant on paper, it was a mega season of racing. I'm bloody stoked to come out on top at the end of it.
Well, we're hearing that there will be some plans for the next season of AOG Porsches. Dan Yeaman's going to have a chat with us soon about that. Will we see you there as well?
It's a little bit hard to say at the moment. Obviously, I was sort of hoping for quite a competitive season this year. In terms of a title battle, we've had very competitive rounds, but we didn't get the title fight that I really wanted. So I think I'll be holding off a little bit initially on the entry for Season 8. Just seeing who enters, basically, seeing if there's some good competition to ensure that we do have a good championship fight, because that's what I'm really looking forward to. And look, I hope AOG can pull it off for the Porsche Cup. It's a great series. They do great work behind the scenes. The broadcasts are fantastic from you guys. Just really needs the numbers to sort of drive it forward and make that happen. So I'm hoping that happens. I want to be back next season, but can't say anything at this stage.
All right, well, we'll see what happens on that front there, Bo. Before we let you go, is there anyone you'd like to thank for your victories, both in the races and the championship?
Yeah, just a massive shout out to the guys at AOG for putting this on. Dan Yeaman, we give him so much rubbish every single week about the paint pack. He does a fantastic job though running the series. Tom, Kev on race control, they do an awesome job as well. You guys, for the broadcast, you do a fantastic job. And yeah, I've got some hopefully exciting announcements coming up fairly soon, which will be exciting. But for this stage, just a big shout out to VRS and iLiveries for the awesome setups and liveries.
All right, fantastic stuff from Bo Albert, winner overall of the round here. And the round win in Pro-Am has gone to Sean Linsell. Ross Rizzo's going to have a chat to him about his night.
Sean, what a night of racing it was. It seemed like you were in the battles and the thick of it the whole time, yet so close yet so far. Is that just a typical Daytona for you?
Yeah, Daytona's one of those tracks where you can easily just pinch a front left and off you go. So I just kind of wanted to play it safe, let cars go by. I really just wanted to finish tonight. I didn't want to make a stupid mistake and throw everything that I've worked hard for this series to go down the gurgler. So I was happy to just be in there, not be too competitive, and just survive, really, was my strategy.
Yeah, it certainly was a good one. There was plenty of chaos, and you managed to avoid, well, most of it, I believe, and come home with a very solid result. Now, the 2 ERT cars, both were pretty good tonight. So you've heralded how you've practiced together. So were you guys doing a fair bit of prep for this one too?
Not this race. We did a bit of practice last race. But this one, I think Maddie just popped in last minute which was great to see him out on track. But yeah, I was kind of struggling a little bit on setup, so hopefully next season we can all work a little bit closer.
So, speaking of next season, are we going to see you have a go at the Pro Championship, or will it be another crack at the Pro-Am title?
Look, wherever I'm sent, I'm sent. I would like a good crack at the Pro-Am. I didn't read the rules. Being a dyslexic, I struggled to read the rules, and then got DQ'd for hitting early, and I think that really hurt me. So yeah, it'd be nice to actually have a proper crack at it next season and maybe get a Pro-Am win, but worst case scenario, like, is what it is. I'll if I can't get it next season and I'm in Pro next time round, then I'll try and go for a top 3.
Well, I think if you do end up in Pro, you won't look out of place. Your results have certainly spoken very well of your talent, so you should be proud of what you've accomplished this season. So, floor is yours for any shout-outs.
Yeah, just shout out to the team. Brenton's been an absolute legend helping me out, as well as the boys like Maddie and Seb. They've been awesome teammates this season. Shout out to Dan from Logitech. He's been awesome with us, giving us the support that we need to get the round win and get a podium this season. So huge shout out to him, and also speedy recovery to my mum.
Some great shout-outs there, Sean, and I'll hopefully second that last one there, and all the best in the Linsell household. So that was Sean Linsell, our Pro-Am winner for this evening. Now, Reese has an important couple of guests, and they are Corey Lazarus and Josh Sproul.
Sam Sproul, as we will first have a chat, of course, to Corey Lazarus, because you've taken the Pro-Am title, Corey. Must feel good there after a very hard-fought season.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Feels awesome, actually. 'Cause before we came into the league at the start of the year, we had zero expectations, and we're really curious just how we would fit into the program there. So yeah, to actually take it out, it's awesome. Yeah, it's a really good feeling.
Yeah, he definitely had a lot to fight for there, with some varied results all the way through the field. What would you say was the highlight of your season?
The middle part of the season for sure. So we got off to a really rocky start. Round 1, 2, and 3 were just average, but then we took out both races in 4, 5, and 6, which really laid the platform, and the other boys sort of didn't get those results they needed, which helped us build a bit of a buffer. So yeah, Jerez and Bell, and then Road America, definitely the highlights this year.
Fantastic stuff. And what are your plans for the next season of Porsche? As the Pro-Am champion, you might get a leg up to the Pro class. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's another challenge. Just want to get faster in the off season, I guess, and yeah, just try and get faster, prove on what we've done this year, and hopefully Sammy and I can keep the team momentum going as well.
Fantastic stuff. On the team front, we will bring in Sam Sproul, because both you and Corey have nabbed the team's title for AOG Porsche Cup Season 7. That must feel good for you guys.
Yeah, it rocks. I'm super stoked with it. To reiterate what Cos just said before, when we first came into this, we sort of had no idea, and then those first 3 races were like a huge wake-up call for the level of competition that we're up against, and just the general like aggressiveness and pace of all the guys we're racing in here. So to take it all out at the end, that rocks. It feels really good.
Yeah, definitely must. Certainly a feeling that a few of us have had here in the comms box as well. I have to say that preparation for rounds probably comes into it a lot for you as well. There's not many settings to change on these cars, but setup can still be quite important.
Yeah, definitely. We put quite a lot of work into it too, I think, now. The more we get to know the car, the more we understand the different setups we need individually. At first we're just hunting, someone might have some meta setup that all the aliens are using or whatever. And then as we've gone forward, we're finding we do have quite different setups. And it's it's a fun process, kind of discussing how to maximize our pace out of the car, and often it's just about how do we not die. So quite often the setup's about being safe.
Well, either way, the final standings will show that you guys are in the very top of the standings. So, is there anyone that you'd like to thank, Sam, for that team's title?
My boys Lazo and Shep, who had a rough one today, who have been awesome for motivating me and helping me get faster. My girlfriend and my cats for dealing with my base shakers, and Dan and everyone at AOG for putting on just my favorite league that I'm part of.
All right, thanks very much for joining us.
And you guys for all your hard work, because you put on a brilliant broadcast.
Thanks very much, Sam Sproul and Corey Lazarus, for joining us in the comms box. Final driver interview of the night. We have an AM class champion to crown here, Ross. You're with Steve Tonkin.
Was it going to be anyone other than Steve, really, from round one, or probably more specifically round two, kind of started to run away with the championship. But let's talk more about tonight. P5 outright in race number one. How did that feel? How did you find the thought process when you found yourself that high up the order?
It sort of just came to me. Turn one, I sort of just thought it might be a bit of carnage, so I just stayed outside and managed to pick up a few spots, and then just wanted to sort of get in the rhythm and just sort of fall in behind and just concentrate on brake markers and sort of not locking up and hurting tyres, and people just fell apart around me. So tried not to look at the relative too much and just concentrate on doing the job.
Worked an absolute treat. Race 2, not quite so good, but still the AM win. But P number 12 I can see here. But yeah, a lot of those guys recovering well. So kind of having to fight your way, you would have been starting 6th, I think. Again, navigating, just trying to survive.
Yeah, the first horseshoe, someone span, I think, which sort of checked me up, and then I lost a few spots, and then sort of, same again, just tucked in behind and just sort of ran my race. And then I think I followed Corey, and he was always quick, so sort of I could stick with him, it'd be all right. And then I actually thought I got done speeding into the pit, so I sort of slowed down a fair bit, managed to avoid the penalty, and then Lizomo was there. I thought I might tuck in behind him, but just with mismatched tyres, I sort of booked it through the bus stop. But I was fairly confident. I had it sewn up, so I wasn't too worried. I was just staying clean after that.
So now we can talk about the championship. I mean, it was a clinic all season long, consistently winning the AM races and mixing it up with the pro-ams and even the pros ahead. I mean, how can you summarize your season? It looked fantastic from the outside looking in, but how is it from your perspective?
It far exceeded anything I wanted to achieve this season. It was just sort of to enjoy the car. It was just to get better at it and become a better driver, I guess. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. And sort of when things started going my way, it was more about just keeping it clean, accumulating points, and it was just sort of fell into place really.
Well, hopefully you can be proud of what you achieved and celebrate. So the floor is yours, Steve, for any shout outs.
Big thank you to the JWM guys. They pushed, well, we all pushed each other all season when we could. Brewed coffee, they were really good. AOG and SimSpeed, it was an awesome series. Looking forward to season 8 and maybe even have a double at the supercars that were announced. So thanks to you guys.
So that was our AM champion, Steve Tonkin, and now a very special guest. It's the series organizer, Dan. You did it. Great job. Great to have you in the box, mate.
Thanks, Ross. Oh, man. I mean, even after running this thing since the start of 2021, it never seems to get old, it seems, with just what we get to see out on track. And I mean, it's the second time we've done a finale at Daytona. The last time that happened was back at the end of 2020 in the 991 generation of these cars. But look, eight rounds of racing. It came down to the final round for 2 of our 3 driver classes and the team's championship as well. So whilst unfortunately, whilst credit to Bo for the pro class title, obviously didn't quite have the competition round in, round out. Great to have guys like Josh Thomas and Wayne Burke and Matt Bowler and Thomas Hinst and even Rick Kuznetsov last round at Barber sticking it to Bo. Couple of rounds in and out. Just obviously, really hope to see looking forward to what comes next for the series with an 8th season coming later this year. But yeah, to Corey as the Pro-Am champion, massive congrats to him publicly, because he bit of a slow start, but able to massively kick into high gear through the second half of the season and challenge and then overtake Sean and Tyson. But credit to all three of those guys in the Pro-Am class, and then to our Am class drivers, which, thinking about it real quick, all of our Am class drivers this season were completely new to AOG, pretty much, barring a few couple of guys. So credit to guys like Steve and David, who are both from J2ME Motorsport. Shame we didn't have David tonight, but also Stefan from Riot Sim Racing, who rounded out the podium in that one. But I mean, yeah, can't do it without everyone who drives in the series. So yeah, it's been great to wrap the season up for the most part on a high note. Tough track though here, Daytona. So we saw a bit of controversy there, all the same, and we got to bring the safety car out for good measure as well.
Yeah, really interesting final round indeed. Well, you do have some future plans at AOG, don't you, Dan? What's on the cards for the next season of Porsches?
Yeah, so yeah, well, 100% we do. We'll have our 8th season of the Porsche Cup returning later in this year. Date is still slightly to be confirmed. Just looking for some feedback from the drivers first, which I'll get that out to them this week. To lock that down and sort of figure out what tweaks we do to the series to sharpen things up for the second half of the year, and that should run through to October, maybe first half of November, depending on calendar and schedule, locking that down. But on top of that, also last night announced a brand new series for us at AOG. For those that know me and what I may have said in AOG and a couple of places here and there, I have been quoted saying that every man and his dog runs a V8 supercar series in this country, and that I wouldn't touch one for that reason. But I've been convinced there's a gap in the market with leagues currently, and so starting Monday, 12th of June, we will have a supercar series. And thanks to Jay for agreeing to stay on as our broadcast partner for that. So looking forward to seeing how that goes. As well as Bowler Media Photography, staying with both the supercars photography, but also Porsche Cup photography as well. So a couple of things now in the works for us, and hopefully working a way to start really building up some bigger plans for 2024. It's all still to be confirmed, and there's a lot of things to flesh out there, but if we can lock those plans down, I'm really looking forward to what we'll be able to bring to the community next year in particular.
All right, fantastic to hear. And the V8 series is going to be on Monday nights, correct?
That is correct. Monday, the 12th of June for round number 1. Fortnightly schedule due to the fact that we do have Aussie Car, also long-time partners of SimSpeed, returning with another series of theirs. So alternating with Aussie Car broadcasts for that one there. That will run through till the 4th of September. So it's 7 rounds for the AOG V8 Super Series. Starting off at Silverstone, mixing and a host of European and American tracks, blending the iRacing officials and Motorsport Australia Logitech G Pro invitational calendars to get that action together. Already got over a dozen drivers signed up for that since announcing it last night publicly. So yeah, if you're interested at all in the car and perhaps seeing how we run things, if you've been watching us before, please check us out via the links in the YouTube description here, or look up Aussie Online Gaming on Facebook and find us out with all our information there, and as well as our other social platforms such as Instagram and Twitter.
All right, thanks very much for joining us there, Dan Yeaman. Of course, always a pleasure to have you guys on board here with SimSpeed TV. And that's going to bring to an end proceedings for tonight, Ross. Another season capped off beautifully. Can't wait for the next one.
This season was absolutely incredible. I'm gonna miss this actually, but we won't have to wait too long. I assume there were plenty of plans in the mind of Dan Yeaman and AOG. The supercars, as he said, on Monday night, starting on the 12th of June, not far away at all. That'll fly past, and then we'll get back to more of this incredible caliber of racing race. It's been a thrill this season. Utterly enjoyed it, and I certainly think Bo summed it up well. Though he won a majority of the races, he certainly didn't have it easy. The point standings doesn't show how competitive and exciting the racing was to call.
Yeah, absolutely. You can always catch all of our previous broadcasts on our YouTube channel. You can find every single round, bar one, of the AOG Porsche Cup for Season 7 here, youtube.com/c/simspeed. And also make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on Twitch, follow us on Twitter as well. We are at SimSpeed TV on there. We are also SimSpeed Esports Network on Facebook. Make sure to follow us on all of the socials so you know what we're up to next. I'm Reese Gardner, Ross Brizzo with me in the comms box, and Jay Kennedy handling production. Thanks very much to everyone at Aussie Online Gaming for putting this series on, and thank you to you, the viewers, for sticking with us through this magnificent season of Porsche racing. Thanks very much, and we'll see you next time.